Sounds familiar? That might be one of the most traditional ways of using a metronome. There are so many ways we can use it. Or is it better not to use it? Let's talk about it. I feel I'm kind of here to tell you what not to do. And not to do what I would call a mistake that I've been doing myself for many years. I've been playing guitar for nearly 40 years, and I've been working as a musician and a teacher for more than 20 years. So I've tried lots of different approaches on practicing in general, but also using a metronome. And for many years I used a metronome just to, as I did in the intro, to learn scales, to learn picking patterns like alternate picking, down, up. And it's a great way of using a metronome to learn techniques and to set a certain tempo that you can manage to play, and then you can push it a little bit each day, like a little bit faster maybe. But it just is an exercise. It sounds like an exercise, it feels like an exercise, and it doesn't feel musical or sound musical at all. So, and I did it, I'm still kind of doing it today, once in a while, because it's a great way to get your hands and fingers going. But it's so easy to spend lots of time playing exercises, learning scales, and forget about the musical side of playing an instrument, in our case, the guitar. So I want to talk a little bit about that. I will show you some of the things I've been doing over the years with the metronome, but I'll also show you how to practice without a metronome to sound more musical. The way I started this video was to play the major scale with one note per beat. Like this. And that's fine. It's boring, it sounds boring, but it's a good exercise to get started with. But then, what about doubling the amount of beats? So you play 8 notes instead of quarter notes, so 2 notes per beat. That's a natural progression, I guess, to just double the amount of beats. Or the amount of notes per beat. I'm now in 101 BPM. I mean, you can slow the speed down to say about 60, 65. Then you can add, and you can play 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 notes per beat. So that's a good way to sort of keep the metronome in the same at the same tempo, and then you increase your tempo and the feel. You'll probably find that 1, 2, 4, maybe 6 and 8 is easier. 3 is okay. 5 and 7 and even 9 beats, notes per beat is much more tricky. But it's a great practice and great way to use the metronome. But it's just not very musical. A good way to use a metronome is to not have the click on each beat of the bar. So we're in 4, just because that's the most common. Here's the typical. We're now 65 BPM. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's take away beat number 1 and 3. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's trickier. But so now you have to fill the gaps because the gaps are longer, and you have to keep the timing. And that's just trickier. Ah. I don't know what I play there, but because I was focusing on the beat, and it's tricky, and it's so easy to. I was early sometimes and late sometimes, but that's a good way of using a metronome. And now I was using the metronome more as a like a drummer kind of thing that I was playing along with, more than just playing an exercise. So I was just improvising, playing some chords. As I said, no idea what I did. Wonder what it sounds like. But it's the point is, it's a more musical way of using a metronome. Just skip a couple of the beats, and then you have to think more, and it gets harder. So try it. What I've been doing more the last few years is to, instead of using a metronome, just a click, I've been actually using a drum loop. Set to different tempos, different styles. It's kind of doing the same thing, but it's I mean, you get more of a musical feel, of course, because it's a proper drum kit. And you'll find lots of set tempos on YouTube, lots of drum loops. I'm using Superior Drummer, which is a great program. Lots of great sounding drums, lots of cool grooves. So that's another way of using kind of a metronome, a steady tempo to play along to. But there's something about that click as well that's just very sort of basic and boring that you don't focus on the rest of the like a drum kit. You just hear that simple beat and you have to lock into that. So it's got its purpose, but it's just boring, and it's so easy to fall into a trap of practicing exercises and scales for hours and hours. And that's what I've done, and that's the mistake I think I've done for a very long time. Focusing more on the scales and the exercises instead of playing music. So don't do that. I mean, I built up a pretty good technique. The problem is when I stopped practicing, because I used to practice quite a lot, and so you build your technique, and you get pretty good. But then I stopped practicing, and then the technique just falls instantly. So good technique is something you have to keep working at. So for the last few years, I've been playing quite a lot with bands and by myself in lots of different settings. So I had to play lots of different styles of music, and I haven't had that much time to practice. So now if I sit down with a metronome, I just feel, oh, this is not great anymore. But so I spent actually lots of time practicing something that I just really can't play anymore. But obviously the result from you practicing with the metronome is in my timing and my feel and my groove when I play with like in a band or with others or in the studio. My timing is pretty good, it's pretty steady. So that's kind of the result of practicing with the metronome. But I spent too much time practicing those boring things. So now I'm going to show you something that I've been doing lately, which is not to do with a metronome. So drop the metronome and focus on the music or the musical side instead. And the feel and the timing, and just forget about the tempo and the steady sort of beat, and practice more freely. So let's look at some ideas. Okay, so now the metronome is thrown out the window and we gonna practice without it. A couple of things that can be a cool thing to do, and you can practice just at whatever level you're at. If you only know a few chords, say you know E or E minor. Say we're in E. You can practice that E. Say you know you've been looking at some pentatonic scales. So for example, you can use some of the notes from that scale. And just create your own groove. So it's not in time with the metronome, it's in time with you. Then I can try and move up on one string while especially the bass note is ringing. And now you can just try out, if you don't know which note to go to, that works fine. Try everything and decide for yourself which notes work. So you'll notice that some of the notes creates more tension with the bass note. Which can be a cool thing, or you might not like it at all. So you decide whether you want to keep it in or not. And then you just create your own, you can create your own scale, just your own set of notes that you find works. I mean, I can also use just an open string. Say I use the low E string and then I keep an open B. Then it gets even more obvious when you hit the note that's got more tension. So that's one way of doing it. Or I can swap around. I can keep the E, low E and the high E string open, and I can fret on the B string. That F there, it's quite some tension there. So by doing like that, you actually you see the guitar in a different way. Now you can use the whole fretboard. You don't look at it as a typical like a box with a scale across all 6 strings. Now you just looking at maybe 1 or 2 strings, and you play up and down. And I mean, E is a good key because you can keep the low E ringing, or A, or you can swap from E to A, and then you can obviously develop it into using other chords as well. But I'm not using a metronome. I'm trying to sort of find my own groove and just take it from there. And you'll notice if you do this, give it a few minutes. Sit for say 5 minutes, and I can guarantee that after a few minutes you will feel that it sounds better now. I'm getting into it. Because it takes some time, and you have to sort of adjust, and you can practice basically almost anything doing this. I mean, you can practice chords you're working on, chord progressions, scales, or just play freely without thinking. Just let your ears guide you. I mean, and I can practice slides, or bends, or vibrato. Basically anything. You can put it into it, and you create your own sort of musical exercise. So that's a good way of practicing your guitar in a more musical way. So let's say now, if you have 20 minutes of time to play your guitar, I'll suggest you start off with maybe using a metronome, say for about 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, depends what you're working on and stuff, but just to sort of warm up and sort of lock into the beats of the metronome, because it's great for your timing. So it's great to practice with a metronome, but drop the metronome as well and play more freely, play more, you come up with more musical ideas, and that combination is very good. So if I should start all my guitar playing all over again, I would probably say out of 20 minutes I would play with a metronome for maybe around 5-ish, and then I would spend time learning chords, just exploring the fretboard. We're going to talk more about that later, about chord shapes and how we can find the different chords in different places on the neck, because it's so much to unlock. And just sit and sort of be creative with the guitar and make it sing. Especially if you're playing solos, make the guitar sing. That's the key. I hope you got some valuable tips here. Practicing with a metronome is a good thing, but just don't do it too much. Don't forget, with the guitar, you're supposed to play music, not exercises. So play and practice in a musical way as well. Please leave your comment. Let me know how you get on. Please subscribe, like, and I will bring you some more videos about guitar playing and gear and all sorts of stuff. I will see you soon. Take care.